All right, I guess we'll get started. Welcome to the EV Town Hall meeting today. I'm Brian Jones. I'm the project coordinator here in the Centennial Campus Development Office. The reason we wanted to bring everyone in is just to start talking about several things. We've got electrical vehicles that we have here as part of the Earth Day celebration for people to try out and check them out. But what we've been doing in the development office is working on a project that the Sustainability Office, Tracy Dixon, who's the director, received a grant back in 2011 to put in 10 electrical vehicle charging stations here on campus. And she decided that she would go on maternity leave and turn the project over to me. And so that's how I got involved. And But it's been a good experience and learned a lot about charging stations, electrical vehicles. And we are in the process right now of trying to wrap up construction. When you get a grant, that's the first part of it, I guess, is just getting the award. But then you have to figure out how you're going to take that and make it into a project and get everything done. And being a state institution, it's always a process to get things done here. So what we had to do is basically create an RFP, request for proposals for vendors. We did that and received multiple bids. The winning station was called a PEP, made by HUBBELL, and they were the winning bid, and those were the ones that are going in here on campus. And we have Brett Schemenauer. All right. He's here today to talk a little bit about the stations and how they operate. And also, as part of the grant, we were teamed up with Advanced Energy Corporation, and their role in this was to sort of be our consultant the whole time. We did a study on campus for the locations and where we felt we could spread these out. We ended up going with we took actually 5 locations and put dual charging stations at those 5 locations to complete the requirements of having 10 stations here on campus. And we expect those to be up and running, I'm just going to say by June 1. And that'll give me a little bit of breathing room to actually make that happen. But we have Stacy Carlos, who's here from AEC, who's going to speak. Also, we have Stacy Haggis, who's been the project manager working with me directly over the last year. Yeah, it's been a year. So we've been doing this for about a year now, and Stacy Carlos is going to come and talk about sort of electrical vehicle 101 to give you an idea of how these vehicles work and some different ones that are coming out soon in the market. And then Brett's going to come up and talk about the stations, and then I'll open it up after that for a few questions and answers. So we appreciate you coming out, and now I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Stacy Carlos, and I'm a transportation project manager with Advanced Energy. And we're a nonprofit organization, and we're located here on Centennial Campus. We've been around for a while now, founded by the Utilities Commission over 30 years ago. And we work with utility partners, government, municipalities, businesses, and academia to conserve energy. So we specialize in energy efficiency and bringing that to your workplace, in your home, and other places that you go. More specifically, I work with our E-Tran team, which is electric transportation. And for electric transportation at Advanced Energy, we help communities to understand, plan for, and implement electric transportation initiatives. So today I'm going to speak with you just a little bit about plug-in electric vehicles. We've got 2 on display outside. One is Advanced Energy's Leaf, and then there's also a GM Volt that you're more than welcome to go out there and take a look at when you leave here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the infrastructure that you'll see coming up on campus. So electric vehicles, they are here. You've probably seen them driving around a little bit more frequently now that they're actually available on some lots in the Triangle area. In the Triangle, there are actually a little over 60 Leafs alone. So they're becoming more prevalent on our streets and on our roads. So in the upper left-hand corner, we've got the Volt. In the right, we've got the Nissan Leaf. And at the bottom, we've got the Ford Focus. And North Carolina is actually considered to be a hotspot for plug-in electric vehicles. So a lot of manufacturers are rolling their vehicles out here first for early adoption. So again, these are probably the two most seen vehicles currently. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of these vehicles, the Chevy Volt is actually an extended range electric vehicle. So it's got a battery, but it's also got your regular internal combustion engine, whereas the Nissan Leaf is just purely all electric vehicle. And the unique thing with the Chevy Volt is there's actually a generator that's powered by the internal combustion engine. So the gas generator provides electricity to the electric drive. So it doesn't recharge the battery, but it still makes the vehicle more energy efficient. And for the range, you can go about 35 miles on a charge in a Volt, and they say about 73 miles on a charge in a Leaf, but it really just depends on your driving habits. When you actually plug the Leaf in, you usually start with like 108 miles. So it really just depends on if you're driving on the road or on the highway, if you're really pushing that pedal all the way down and accelerating too quickly. It just really depends on your driving habits as to how far you can actually go. The Volt is a 4-passenger vehicle. The Leaf is a 5-passenger vehicle. With the Volt, you get 16 kilowatts per hour battery, and with the Leaf, it's 24. The Volt does have a top speed of 100 miles per hour, and the Leaf goes 90, so they are highway-capable vehicles, and they really pick up and go. So they're not a little toy car, as some folks might think of them to be. And the Volt goes from 0 to 60 to 8.8 seconds, whereas the Volt goes from 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds. So that's just a little bit of background information on some of the vehicles that you're going to see. And as I mentioned before, there's well over 60 Leafs alone in the Triangle area, and some of these Leafs are actually part of Advanced Energy's PV usage study. So through the North Carolina State Energy Office, Advanced Energy received a grant to provide incentives to 40 vehicle owners or future vehicle owners at that time for the purchase of a Nissan Leaf. With this grant, we also have the opportunity to put in some charging stations in the western side of the state. So for the vehicle incentives, this was a $7,500 purchase incentive on top of the already existing $7,500 tax credit. So that was $15,000 off of the purchase of a brand new Leaf in 2012. And all the folks had to do, they went into this survey, they took our survey, and they had to agree to a 2-year vehicle usage study. And some of the eligibility criteria was they had to work in the Greater Triangle area, commute less than 30 miles each way, commute 3 or more days a week, and they had to be willing to purchase a vehicle by the end of 2011. And through this study, we would be able to look at where PEVs are being used and how they're going to impact some of our utility resources, as well as support planning activities related to charging, usage clustering, and electrical demand. And one of the things that we looked at when we narrowed down our eligible participants to select clusters, what we call, which is basically like a group of employees located in a certain area, was whether or not they had charging infrastructure. So one of the things that we offered Centennial Campus was the opportunity for some of the folks here to participate in our study. So the folks who are participating, their data is being collected. So every time they drive, every time they turn that vehicle on, we're able to find out the location, the demand, the charging behaviors, the driving behaviors, and the ambient conditions. And then just some of the things that we hope to get out of the study is to understand the adoption barriers. So we're going to look at range anxiety and fear. You know, when are these people charging? Where are they charging? How far are they going without charging? We'll also look at the quantify the impact on the grid, and we'll do that specifically with vehicle clustering. Again, most of the participants are located in a single workplace area. So for example, I can't remember how many are on Centennial Campus. I want to say it's 3. So there might be 3 employees here, and then on another campus there'll be 10, and then on another campus there'll be 15, and they're all using the same charging stations at that location. So we'll be able to see how that impacts the grid. We're also going to be able to look at the changes in behavior. So when they first got the vehicle, how far were they going on a single charge? Were they going the entire 70 or 100 miles or whatever, what have you, they had on that battery, or did they only go 30 miles and then stop and then charge? And, what were their charging habits? How did their range anxiety change? And then we're also going to be able to determine the best practices guidelines for charging infrastructure. So again, just looking at when does charging occur? Where does it occur? And that's another reason why we selected several corporate campuses to participate, including Centennial Campus, who was going to provide infrastructure for some of our usage study participants. So now going on to workplace charging. This chart just kind of gives you an idea of where we expect charging to occur. So as you can see, residential is going to be dominant here. Most folks will go home, they'll plug in their car at night, they'll charge it, they'll unplug it in the morning, and they'll be good to go. The next most popular location will most likely be workplace charging. So we expect to see several companies or locations such as Centennial Campus or some of our other corporate partners to include charging stations so that it helps to ease your range anxiety, because even if you could go to work 15 miles and then back home another 15 miles, if you could go to work, charge up, you've got more range when you could leave, so you could run errands, pick up the kids, or what have you. So we certainly hope that will help ease some of the range anxiety. And then public, which you'll start seeing several public stations. I think in Raleigh there's 20 alone that was put out by the city of Raleigh. So that will also help with range anxiety. So through one of our initiatives, which was actually how we came to work with Centennial Campus, the Carolina Blue Skies Grant, we had the opportunity to work with different corporate campuses and provide level 2 charging stations. So some of our campuses includes NC State University or Centennial Campus, as well as Biogen. So through those two campuses, we've been able to provide 20, not necessarily 20 charging stations because some of them are dual cord units, but the ability to charge 20 vehicles at a single time. And then just through other campuses in the Triangle area, there's about a grand total of 50 charging stations at different workplaces. So right now we have existing stations at the Joyner Visitor Center and the Solar House. I encourage you to go check it out. They had their ribbon cutting today, and they had a really great turnout. So if you get a chance to drive by and look at it. And there are also going to be new stations on Centennial Campus. So we'll have the 5 dual cord stations that's with the ability to charge 10 vehicles. And we expect that to be complete by May 1st. And this just gives you a visual as to exactly where the charging stations are located at on campus. So you got a pretty good selection. If you're in this area and you have an electric vehicle, you will soon be able to charge up. So we're going to have them in the Centennial deck, the Partners 1, the Partners 2, the Partners Way deck, and the Research deck. And that is all I have. Questions now? Or? Sure.
When you put the charging station in the parking decks, are you going to do like wayfinding so it's easy to find where the charging stations are inside a deck?
Do you want to? Okay, yes. Yes.
One with Brett.
You go first? Okay.
Do that, and then I'll do the question and answer after that.
Not used to your
Schemenauer. I'm with HUBBELL. And again, just like Brian said, we were selected after the RFP to provide the charging stations here on Centennial Campus, as well as potential for more charging stations in the future if they are needed. As you can see here, this is an opening slide. The Chevy Volt there plugged into one of our charging stations. I can't remember how many pedestal mounts. I think he had 3 pedestal mounts, and we're going to have 2 wall mounts. But this is a pedestal mount unit displayed right here. And that's essentially what you're going to see when a vehicle is plugged in. Right now, again, as we all know, electric vehicles are here. They're here to stay. There's way too much momentum in the industry for them to go away now. And you're going to see more and more models coming out. Again, this is just a sampling. By the end of this year, they're expecting 20 models from different manufacturers. By the end of 2013, going into 2014, you're going to see over 30 car models available. And again, they all utilize the standard connector, so there's not going to be multiple plugs to plug into the cars, but it's, again, SAE J1772. Again, as the vehicles become more and more prevalent in the market, you're going to see a build-out of the infrastructure to actually charge these vehicles. Currently, you can see it's very minimal what is available in the market, but again, you can see there's going to be tremendous growth is what they're projecting. By the end of 2015, almost 2 million units, or 2 million charging stations per se. Some of the advantages of our particular unit versus some other ones is we have an open, unrestricted network. In other words, it's not proprietary. You don't have subscription fees, and that includes subscription fees for not only, in this case, NCSU, but the car users as well. Some units actually require the car owners to subscribe to a particular network of charging stations in order to use them. If you didn't subscribe to these, what would happen is you simply wouldn't be able to use them. You would have to actually pay a fee, and then in addition, you'd also have to pay to charge your vehicle. With our PEP station, you do not have to do that. And that was one of the requirements from NCSU. They wanted a open network system. And again, we will be sending advanced energy. Not sure what kind of time period, either monthly or quarterly, data usage for collection purposes so they can analyze the data as far as usage. And again, it also allows NCSU to set the parameters as far as if they want to charge for the stations, how much they charge per hour, etc. This is an example of a wall mount unit. Again, we're going to have, I believe, 2 of these is what they acquired. Again, that's just an example. Here's some of the specs, if you want, per se, if you're interested in them. All the units do come with the yellow coil cords. Kind of the thinking behind that was, again, you go to a gas station, for example, you see the air hoses. They're not wind up. They're just laying on the ground, and half the time they're broken. With these units, the coil will actually, the cord will retract by itself, and it'll also stretch out. And it's also highly visible, so no one accidentally runs over it if it were laid on the ground. And here's another of a pedestal mount unit. Again, same basic unit, just it's sitting on a pedestal. Another plus with sitting on the pedestal is it doesn't require the use of bollards, protective bollards. So if someone pulls up with a car and hits it, that is a reinforced concrete base. Other units are not like that. You have to put bollards in front of them. In a lot of especially commercial office building settings, they do not want that. They don't want to have bollards out in front of their buildings because it really takes away from the building from an aesthetic standpoint, and a lot of building owners definitely do not want that. And here's an example. I'm going to go through some slides here with the operating instructions. This would be the initial screen a user would see when they came up, and after they plugged in their vehicle. This would not even come up. First, there's 2 pilot connections within the actual plug on the charging station. And what these do is they establish a secure connection with the vehicle. Once that connection is established, then you can start going through the charging process. You can see in sleep mode, the unit doesn't use much power at all when it's in sleep mode. I believe it's 5 watts, which is basically a night light. So again, it's all touch screen, so all you would do is just touch the screen, and then you'd proceed to the next screen where you would select your hours, and depending if there's a rate, you would keep going until what you thought would be sufficient or how much time you're going to be at that particular location. And again, the price can be changed, and this is all programmable into the stations. Again, you don't have to charge for these stations. They can be set up to be used free of charge as well, but again, that's going to be up to the end user, the owner of the particular station. Then once you've got the secure connection, and you've selected your time, you go into your card swipe, or in another case, if it was a private enterprise, they could have an employee ID badge to get it going. It can be configured multiple ways for that purpose. Then again, you just select as needed and then go on. And then it would tell you while it's processing, little bar scrolling across. It's very simple, very intuitive. It's not difficult at all. It's actually easier to use than probably most of the phones you guys carry in your pockets. And then once your charge or whatever your ID card has been accepted, it begins charging. Or if it wasn't accepted, it goes back and it tells you it was denied and you have to back up. Then once all that, you just hit start and it starts charging. And then it will display how much of a charge is currently giving, and then how much time you have left on your particular time that you selected. And again, it is a dual charging station, so that's why it shows the other side to be still available. It's, again, fairly easy unit to use. I actually use it myself, so I can attest to that. Oh, wrong one. You guys got some extra ones in here? Oh, yeah. Anyways, that's it. It's pretty simple.
All right, so I'm going to cover the quick bullet points that you're going to have questions about, and then you can tell me what I didn't cover. But what we're looking at for our initial 2 years is that we're trying to limit the time that people spend at the charging station to 4 hours. And we're not going to charge you for that time that you're spending there. It's kind of going to be on the honor system at first, and we're going to see how that works. And we'll have signs that say 4-hour limit that are part of that. If we find that people are using that as a remote parking space for their electrical vehicle for the entire day and not sharing with the others, we may implement the credit card system, which we would put the first 4 hours for free, and then after that we would charge a rate per any additional time that you stay there. Some of the features that we've been able to already start modifying for the software is that we're going to have a notification system, so when you do plug in your vehicle, you can punch in your cell phone for a text message or your email address, and the unit will send you an email or a text message when your unit is, or when your charging time is up. And so we're trying to build in some ways in which we can reinforce it. It also is going to send a notification to the transportation department when your charging time is up. So if you do find yourself lingering a little too long, there may be some additional charges you weren't looking for or hoping for when you get back, if you're going over the 4-hour time frame. So we're trying to regulate it, but we're also, this is a living, learning campus, and it's an experiment. And so we're going to do the best we can to try to make it useful and available for everyone. But it will be free for the first 2 years, and after that we'll determine how we're going to move forward from there. As far as parking passes, who can park there? Anyone that has a parking pass on campus can park at a charging station. If you're a visitor to campus, you can purchase a temporary parking pass if you have an electrical vehicle, and you can also park at a charging station. If you don't have an electrical vehicle, you can't park at a charging station. So we, again, try to open it up to anyone that has a permit, but you do have to have a permit if you're going to use it. It's not open for anyone off campus that doesn't come on and purchase a temporary day pass or 4-hour pass from the ticket booths here on Centennial to come on. The grant, as was mentioned, as part of the grant, we made it so that we have what's called a blanket order, meaning that we can order more of these at the same price we purchase these throughout, I believe, a 1-year period, or is it 2-year? A 2-year period. So it's not limited to Centennial where these stations can crop up. These will fall under the transportation department as far as, in some respects, who's in charge of regulating it, but it also falls under me because I was so fortunate to inherit it. And I'm going to be watching over it for the next 2 years with Stacy, and monitoring any type of, we got a maintenance contract as part of our bid with PEP to look over the maintenance of the unit. Our campus telecom folks and our campus back ops folks are going to monitor or take care of the maintenance from, if the unit's okay. All these things connect back to our network here on campus and to power. The overall grant was $50,000. Total project is about $125,000 to install everything once you throw in all the construction costs and where we placed them and designer fees to get all the drawings done and everything else. So now, I'm sure I haven't answered all the questions, so I'll open it up to anyone that has questions, and Melanie's going to come around with a microphone so we can pick it up on our simulcast that we got.
I've got a couple questions. One is probably quick and easy. Are there any plans to do a double voltage so that you get half the charging time?
I can answer.
Let's get the microphone so that we can hear it, or you can hear. I'm not that important anymore.
This is a level 2 charging station, commercial station. There's 3 levels. There's level 1, which is your residential products, level 2, which this is, and a level 3. Your level 3 charging stations operate at 480 volts, and they're a quick charge, 30 minutes or less. To my knowledge, they're not. Those units are extremely expensive, typically ranging, upwards of $40,000 per unit. Not only that, a little known fact that most people are not aware of, especially car owners, got to read the small print in your warranty. Fast charging stations or level 3 actually void the car battery warranties. So although they are out there, I've seen one, and it happened to be while I was on vacation, and it was in Lakeland, Florida. But other than that, I have not seen any others. But yeah, to answer your question.
The other one is about the main campus. I work on the main campus, and so if it's a 4-hour time block, by the time that I park and then ride the bus, and then ride the bus back down to move it, and then, I'm not sure it would be worthwhile.
All right.
Are there plans to put it on the main campus?
Well, right now there are no plans today, but we do have this blanket order that allows us to purchase more for other parts of campus. I'm only in sort of partial control of Centennial, And so, but transportation and the sustainability office, there has been some talk of maybe going after another grant, and that could focus on main campus. So we kind of wanted to go through the process first to see how this would work, what the cost would be for the entire project. We have that now, so now we know what it would be to get some more free money, how much it costs us to get that free money, so to speak.
Do these stations work with the current electric motorcycles on the market, which I believe are from Bramo and Zero, and will they work with the coming models from Honda and KTM?
They should work as long as they utilize the same connector. That SAE J1772, as long as that connector is utilized, yes, they should work. I'm not exactly sure what, every manufacturer of every product, their batteries, not only the battery technology, but their battery packs are all different. But I would imagine they'd probably have standardized, but you would have to verify that prior to purchasing. Mm-hmm. Yep.
This question might be more for one of the Stacys, but with natural gas prices dropping by the day almost, and Brett's chart showing a rapid escalation of charging stations and models, makes and models of EVs. How do you think that's all going to be impacted? And do you have any research showing where that's headed, or could you comment on that?
We haven't seen any research on that. The question of natural gas has come up, though, in a few conversations and what the impact will be. So I guess it's just one of those things that'll be on the radar to look to in the future to see how it impacts adoption.
I can add to that a little bit. Kind of to further add to what Stacy just said, right now the biggest hurdle to natural gas is simply physics. They can't get enough compressed gas in a vehicle to make it really viable at this point. Although they're working on it, but there's a lot of safety concerns when you got that much gas under that much pressure. And that's could be a potentially very bad situation. And it's they're working on it and they're developing it. And yes, they have, people are looking at that. But at this point in time, they don't see it being a huge impact, put it that way. Maybe down the road, 5 or 10 years, that could happen, but at the same time, you don't know what natural gas prices are going to do in 5 to 10 years. So at this point, again, the electric vehicle market, it's going to continue to grow regardless. It's just, there's too much momentum there now. It's not going to stop.
Right now, I try to park at the Keystone Science Center and plug in there, and probably half the time there's a non-EV vehicle in the spot. So I want to make sure that are there going to be signs that say, no, only EV vehicle parking, electric vehicle parking?
Yes. We're trying to limit the number of signs that we have on the one signpost at all these stations, but we are working on trying to get all that very clear so that everyone knows when they're parking there that, 1, they are an electrical vehicle, 2, they have 4 hours to try to charge, and that's where we're going to start. Now, your point is understood about if you are on main campus, but this is an amenity for the Centennial Campus side for right now, and we hope that it's going to be something that will go throughout the entire campus. But yes, we're going to try to have clear signage for high school grade level to understand the, I guess, the rules of the game.
And I would just say that, as was mentioned, there was a successful ribbon cutting today of 4 new charging stations. There are 2 over by the Joyner Visitor Center, which might be closer to you on main campus, and and then there are 2 more at the Solar House. Yeah. So, and this is Marcy with the Solar Center, and she can answer all your questions about those.
So the campus is kind of growing from the middle and going out. So we were the first on the outside, and now hopefully the other side will go from there. But right in the middle, we've got some capability already. So.
Will these be mapped or something so we can
Yes. The question was, will these be mapped? And the answer is yes. I believe we're going to have it on transportation, their website. We've already got it on the Centennial website right now. Centennial Campus, the partnership office has it on their maps right now. And there's a choice where you can go in and click EV charging stations, and it will come up on the map where they're located.
I hope they'll also be registered with the Alternative Fuels Data Center. That's a nationwide, just from in terms of broader use to the consumer. It's a pretty easy registration process. So if someone were to be visiting, say, from out of town, they could see yours and all the others that are in Raleigh and on their way into Raleigh.
Okay. Maybe we could do that. I think we can do that.
So I'm in the market for a new car. Do you have any tools to help me choose a new electric vehicle?
If you check out AFDC's website, which is it driveelectric.org? Goelectric.org, I think. They have a price comparison tool and also just some other things that you can kind of play around with to see what would best fit your lifestyle.
Any other questions?
Going once, going twice? Okay, well, we really appreciate you guys coming out. And now up by the street, we've got an Earth Day celebration. We have 2 electrical vehicles. We've got recreation out there. I think transportation is out there. There's pizza. There's, what else do we have? Good Frisbees, food, drinks. No. So if you want to come out there and join in, and there'll be more information about the charging stations. There's some maps that we have that will show the locations for you that you can pick up. And we thank you for your participation today.